I rise in support of H.R. 1, the Lower Energy Cost Act. My goal as the chair of Energy and Commerce Committee is to make sure Americans have access to affordable, reliable energy. This was a key promise in the House Republicans' commitment to America, and we are hitting the ground running to deliver on that promise, and this is just the beginning. Energy is foundational to everything. For centuries, it has driven human progress and development. It is why America has done more to lift people out of poverty and raise the standard of living than anywhere else in the world. Today, over 3.7 billion people are living in energy poverty. That's half the world. And you know what? They have a 10-year lower life expectancy, 35% fewer years of education, and many don't have electricity at all. Here in the United States of America, we are blessed with the ability and the resources to continue to raise the standard of living globally and even lift people out of poverty. Our goal today is to celebrate how our abundant energy resources have unleashed prosperity and invited people from around the globe to come to America to achieve their hopes and dreams. We've accomplished this as a leader in reducing emissions and with the highest environmental and labor standards in the world. We cannot afford to move backwards with a reckless command and control so-called climate agenda that forces people to pay more and go without reliable electricity. H.R. 1 prioritizes the American people over this radical climate agenda. On his first day in office, President Biden started a war on American energy. Predictability, gas prices skyrocketed to the highest levels in our history. President Biden revoked the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline, imposed a moratorium on oil production on federal lands, and directed agencies across the federal government to impose punitive and burdensome regulations. As the American people suffered, President Biden turned to OPEC and Russia to boost supplies. In the face of Russia's aggression, President Biden looked the other way and greenlit the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, emboldening Russia to attack Ukraine. The CCP now is deepening ties with Russia and consolidating its control over more than 90% of the world's critical mineral supplies. To win the future, we cannot allow our energy security to be surrendered to our adversaries. H.R. 1 sends a strong and unmistakable signal to restore American energy dominance and bolster our national security. H.R. 1 will unleash American energy, lower cost, and secure our supply chains. This package helps lift barriers to expanding our energy supplies, remove red tape for exporting and importing of LNG, and build more pipelines with our North American allies and across the states. It would repeal President Biden's burdensome natural gas tax, which will harm communities, shut down production, and raise prices across the entire economy. H.R. 1 will encourage innovation and production in critical materials here at home to cut China out of our energy supply chains and ensure America is leading the world in innovation and next-generation energy technologies. We've heard a lot of talk, and Democrats are forcing a transition, so-called transition, that requires American people to suffer through supply chains and price hikes. What the Republicans are offering through H.R. 1 is a commitment to energy expansion that will deliver on lower cost and reliable and affordable energy. The fact is, higher costs are making life unaffordable for hardworking people in this country, while forcing us to be dangerously reliant on Chinese supply chains that are dirtier and use slave labor. I think about the farmer who told us that this so-called climate agenda is raising the cost of food and making it harder for farmers to feed our families. An advocate who shared with our committee that record-high energy costs hurt low-income and minority families the most. And the mayor of Midland, who told us her community is thriving because of the investment in jobs the oil and gas industry brings. We must embrace and expand America's position as the #1 energy producer in the world while continuing our leadership to reduce emissions. People all over this nation are counting on us for a better quality of life. With H.R. 1, We'll boost energy production, lift regulatory burdens for the construction of more energy infrastructure, cut China out of our critical materials supply chains, and lower costs across the board. This is how we build a more secure future for Americans. I urge support of H.R. 1 and reserve.